You know, most people are seemingly in their minds are living in the past or living in the future. There's very little time is spent in this present moment. And a lot of people think that this present moment is this tiny little sphere of time in sandwiched in between this huge big past and this huge big future, and like the now is this little tiny segment. And but in reality, it's the opposite. Like now is everything, and maybe there's a little tiny memory of some past way back there, or a little tiny bit of imagination of a future scenario up here. But now is where it's all happening. Now is all there is. This. I mean, the whole fact that time doesn't exist is another subject, but it's only now, and that's all we have. Like life is not necessarily linear. It appears linear, but it's just this moment, and that's why all the old sages of old, and even the present day gurus like Muji and Eckhart Tolle and David Bingham, all these people, that they just point towards living now, living in the moment, and that there's no suffering, there's no pain, there's no anxiety, there's no stress. It's just pure awareness. Um, hey, it's starting to rain a bit. um, and you can experience that when at times when you're just so into something, whether it's into a sport or into an activity, or doing some new sort of like learning to drive for the first time, or learning to cook something. Like you're so focused on it, you're so intently into what you're doing, that there is no time, there's no past, there's no future, there's just 100% focus. That's living in the moment. That's living in your true nature. It's only when we just engage the mind and we start having a story about something, having an opinion about it, or that's when we get into the mind and into the before and after, and why this happened, why that happened, and and then we just disengage from our true nature, from what we really are. And I find that is probably one of the main things in talking with people that they get caught up on. Um, my purpose, I feel, is to point people towards their true nature, to point them to living in their heart space, which is it's it's not in time, it's not in your mind, it's not in your thought processes. It's just, but most people I find are constantly jumping up into the mind. I bring them into sort of an awareness, which everyone can get in that state of awareness. It's not like rocket science or anything. It's just becoming into a state where you're just like a meditative state, a mindfulness state, where you're just observing and you're not engaging in your thoughts and your feelings and all that. So most people can get to that state. You've just got to say basically to yourself, am I aware? And just observe that you're aware without thought. But from there, most people jump up into their minds again and say, well, yeah, I tried this once before, it didn't work, or yeah, I understand, or yeah, I read about that in a book once, or like anything but just tuning in to being aware. It's because we're just so trained to, through our education, through all our life experiences, we're just trained to not be in that aware state as much as as much as possible, not be in that aware state. We're just constantly wanting to be behind, be ahead, or do anything but just experience life, and that's what is called a direct experience. And that's why I like it. What I'm pointing to in my T-chats is not like a theory, or a course to do, or some new belief, or new doctrine, or just teaching you something. That it's what I'm doing is pointing you to having a direct experience yourself in your presence, in your heart space, of this awareness. And the only way you can do that is by being here now, like being present, being just aware, just listening. It's not like something you have to memorize, or an affirmation you have to do, or it's just, hey, yes. And it's not even it's somewhat of a feeling. It's a blissful, positive feeling, but more than that, it's a direct experience. It's just you recognizing, investigating, seeing that there is a direct experience of an awareness here that's not to do with your mind. Like it's the real, true nature. It's the real you. And you can look out there and you can see these thoughts coming up and rising and falling. You can see feelings and emotions. You can see pain in your body. You can see the wind blowing. You can see and hear and all kinds of stuff. But all that's just arising in this field of awareness. And the awareness that you are is prior to all of that. It's prior to your thoughts. You know, you'll notice the wind blowing, and then your thoughts will come and say, "Oh, that's a bloody strong wind. That's just that and the other," you know. But the awareness of it is prior to that. It's prior to your feelings. It's prior to everything, and that's where it all starts from. And that's why, if you can live in that state, then you can choose if you want to engage in a particular thought or a particular feeling, or you want to, allow your mind to describe this or have an opinion on something. But all of that is not you, even though it feels like you, and like your mind knows a whole lot about you and it can give you very personalized stuff, but it's still not you. They're just thoughts arising, and you are this mindfulness, awareness, presence that's just, you're not engaged with any of the stuff in your mind, any of your thoughts, any of the feelings that come and go, unless you give consent to do that. And that's a beautiful thing. That's what living in your true nature, living as a self-realized being, is all about. You get to choose. You are the sovereign being, and you are not your thoughts. You are not your mind. You are not even your physical body. Your physical body is changing every day. So you are this pure, infinite intelligence, and that's the starting point. That's like the clean slate you can start with anytime you want to, and you can detach yourself from your thoughts, from your mind. You can unplug from everything, and you can plug in if you want to. That's why we're a free sovereign spirit. We can do whatever we want. But the beautiful thing is that we're not bound. We're free from our minds and our thoughts and all those limitations that come along with it. And that's the most beautiful thing. And so many people, like I say, they can recognize their awareness, but they jump out of it so quickly. And learning to be comfortable with the stillness, the quietness, and not saying, well, what do I do now? Okay, let's go. And sometimes can seemingly be just nothingness, but other times it's full on, because we're not limited by our mind, by our limitations of I can do this, I can't do that, this is allowed, this is not, that's too risky, I'm not going there, I've never done that before. All those things are just sort of eliminated when you unplug from the mind, and anything can happen. So at times there is stillness, there's just quietness, there's what the hell's going on, I want some action. But other times it's like, whoa, slow down. But that's living from awareness. That's living from your heart-centered awareness. It's freedom, it's joy, it's bliss, it's love, it's happiness for no reason. So so that's my little teach after the day. Hope you liked it. Feel free to subscribe, or like the post, or drop me a note if you'd like to have a chat, and all the best.